Well, hello and welcome to this latest video. In this video we're going to look at TimeShift troubles on Linux and problems, well specifically problems with TimeShift on virtual machines. First of all, if you have a machine with its own hard drive and it's not a virtual machine, then make sure that you have TimeShift enabled and it's running. Depending on the size of your hard drive will depend on how often you want the TimeShift to actually make copies of the files. So first of all, you have your own machine with Linux on it. It's a physical hard drive, everything like that. Keep TimeShift on it. When you have a virtual machine, this is more of a problem. So let's look at that. What happened was on another of my virtual machines, you can see I'm actually on a slightly different machine. I had TimeShift enabled. It had been enabled, the machine had been up and running for about 3 months. And I ran out of disk space, and I thought this is very bizarre because I hadn't installed 10 gigabytes of software. It was just impossible. So I started investigating, and I mean, every time you open Nemo, it'll actually tell you at the bottom how much disk space you have available. Okay, so I started investigating. I looked at the logs and looked to see if they were too big, and no, they were fairly large, but nothing to worry about. No more than about 250 meg, so it certainly wasn't the logs. So then I went into TimeShift and had a look at TimeShift. Okay, and let's wait for it to come up. I had a number of snapshots. In fact, most of this screen was full. I thought, okay, well, that doesn't seem too bad. And then I thought, well, let's just remove them all because I don't actually need them because I can use a different system if necessary of doing that, and I will tell you about that later. So I set about deleting them. All you do is just highlight them, the ones you want, and delete them. Now this actually took quite a long time, and to my horror, I found that TimeShift had used just over 10 gigabytes of space in 3 months. Now, on a virtual machine, when you only have about 10 or 12 gigabytes available for extra storage, I mean, this just isn't acceptable. So the first thing I did was went into settings, okay, and I went into schedule, and I immediately stopped all of TimeShift from running. Okay, so you literally just take all of the ticks out of the boxes. Okay, and then after doing that, I'd made sure I'd deleted all the TimeShift files. Okay, right, and that was the important thing. Now, I would recommend that you do the same on your system, and we'll use a different system for ensuring your backups of your data and so on. So I've stopped, as you can see. We'll just go back in again so you can see it. Into schedule, I've removed all the ticks. Okay, I'm now going to click on the snapshots and click delete. Now this will actually take quite a long time, even though it says there's 36 seconds or so. It'll actually take quite a long time to do because it has to go through a number of snapshots that it's doing. Okay, so we'll come back when this is finished because it does take a minute or two. Okay, so that's removed the snapshots from TimeShift, and as you can see, there's nothing here now. So we're going to close the window, and you'll notice I have 26.5 gigabyte of space available before we started deleting TimeShift files. I'm now going to just refresh, okay, and look at that, 35.3. So that's nearly 10 gigabytes in just 2 TimeShift files. And so when you're on a virtual machine, that's really just not a viable proposition to give up that amount of space. So how can you stay safe? Well, first of all, I'm going to power off the virtual machine, and then I'm going to go into the VirtualBox Manager. As you can see, it's here. And what you want to do is at regular intervals you want to clone the hard drive, and I would keep at least one clone of the hard drive always current on the system, and then every month or so is just reclone the hard drive. Now, cloning the hard drive does take some time. It does actually depend on the size of the hard drive, okay, but you can just clone it by, I've clicked on Linux Mint 19, and if you right click, you've got the item to clone, and you've also got it in machine. So if you click on that, you give it a name, okay? And what I would recommend that you do is you do something like this, okay? What's the date today, by the way? Any idea? The 30th. Yeah, okay. Right, so you can do a full clone, current machine state. You can do absolutely everything if you want, which is a good idea, okay? And what you're doing is basically making a backup of the system. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can either do it like that, or you can go into File Manager on your system. Oops, it's a bit big. Come down to virtual machines, and you can copy the VDI, okay, like I've done here, okay. And so you literally just right click on it and copy the VDI. Now that's more difficult because then you actually, if you have a failure, you have to link the VDI back to the virtual machine. But it's my preferred method. If you do a clone, it will actually just create a complete clone of the system for you and put it into the VirtualBox Manager. Okay, I'm not going to do it because, as you can see, I already have a copy. But you just click on clone, and it would take probably an hour or so, and that way you've got a known state that you can come back to. Okay. If you have a virtual machine, don't use TimeShift. It uses too much disk space. Or if you do want to use TimeShift, add another approximately 15 gigabytes of space to the hard drive. So if you were looking at a hard drive of 10 gigabytes or so, then you want to make it 25 gigabytes. Okay. I think that just about covers it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. My name's John. Thank you for watching.